There's been a bunch of games that have come out over the past 2 weeks. Surprisingly, some very literally surprisingly, some expected. I guess the biggest one that we can talk about this week that is also like the biggest one in discussion currently is Hogwarts Legacy.
The Zeitgeist.
Yeah, so I started playing this earlier this week, around about like Tuesday or Wednesday, around about there. So I haven't put like the most time into it. I am planning to put a lot more this weekend because hey, don't have to play on the weekend, don't have to play in the evening and dance around load shedding. It's real fun.
Wingardium Leviosa PS controller, am I right?
I wish I could just fucking put a spell on my PS5 so it would run on no electricity. That'd be great. So, for those unaware, it is very much a open world Harry Potter game. It's set in the late 1800s, so give or take 100 years prior to the events of the films and the books. I would say you would never know that by playing the game. Like, if you missed the one piece of dialogue which told you what year it was, you would absolutely never know because it looks exactly like the films. Characters talk like they from the films. The professors are obviously all different, and some of them have surnames that you might recognize, which I guess ties into the whole legacy portion. Extremely on the nose. Like,
it's like how many recognizable names could we stuff
remember
into
this
guy?
Yeah. There's a Professor Fig, so Matthew's heritage is well represented
there. The best family in this whole wizarding world. What can I say?
Yeah. It's really good at being that Harry Potter nostalgia thing. Yeah. I think if you are someone who really, really still holds on dearly to that world and the books and the fiction, this game was purpose-built for people like you. Because you get to do things like, you do the sorting hat ceremony. You get to go to the paintings that are like the entrances to your dorm rooms and say the passwords. You get to do quests with ghosts like Nearly Headless Nick. You get to explore Hogwarts, which to me is actually one of the most impressive parts of the game. Is just the design of this castle is immense. It is such a huge castle, such a big space to explore, and like it feels labyrinthine in its design in a way that is probably quite authentic to how it is portrayed in the books and the films.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like the Hogwarts Castle is just one part of the open world map. You get to go out and run literally in one quest all the way to Hogsmeade, which I thought was ridiculous. Like that was a really long walk.
I watched
very little dialogue
yesterday. She's like,
it's like imagine a quest in Red Dead Redemption 2 just without your horse. Like that's what it felt like. You're just kind of fucking running. And anyway, you've got things like Hogsmeade and the Forbidden Forest, and then like some small little hamlets around Hogwarts that you can visit. So it is very much open world. You can kind of chart your own path. The first couple of hours are very linear and handholdy. They're kind of introducing you to a lot of systems, and there are a lot of systems to kind of juggle. So you as a student in the school, because you're this like 15-year-old chosen one, just like that boy Harry. You kind of have to attend. Yeah, the setup is very much like there are bad guys. There is a bad goblins are seeking to overthrow humans in the wizarding world. And you are a chosen one boy who can see ancient magic, and now everything rests on your shoulders. But also, you got to go to school.
That's exactly
heard this one before.
So let me just jump in here quickly. So I've only played like half an hour myself, but I've watched Lenska play a couple of hours. So I've laughed because the opening of the game is, oh, hey, we're going to Hogwarts, but also detour to these ancient ruins. Do you mind if we do this? Because my late wife put me on this path, and it's
but that's also because you were attacked by dragons midway through
But it's funny because it's like, this is like, I'm a student, man. I don't want to.
What? Yeah. Why is this professor dragging you to all this
like,
shit?
Listen, Hogwarts can wait. Okay, we're here now. We're going to do this right now. So that is going in. That is one of my biggest question marks of how do they contextualize the demo stuff I've seen of you battling all these people. And I'm like, well, apparently they don't. You just do it. You just
straight up. This
living your best
professor
wizard
is
life,
so
yeah.
fucking ready to just turn you into a child soldier. Like, he's like, listen, I can't do this shit.
Oh, that's
You
so
can
good.
see the ancient magic. Your time to put yourself in danger all the time. And all the other
It is what
professors
it
in the
is.
school are kind of fucking okay with that. They're
Yeah.
just like, hey, I heard from Professor Fig that you need to learn this spell so that you can go fight like giant spiders. It's like,
Look, what?
what? Yeah, like,
Like
yeah,
I read
listen.
the books. Okay, they were like anti-magic. They were very pedantic most of the time, if we're being honest.
Let me tell you, if the books made it seem like you could only use magic in classes in Hogwarts, this is a different
no.
Hogwarts. People are fucking shooting each other like there's no tomorrow.
This is before the magical laws were passed. Prohibiting that.
Clearly, it is so open. I mean, that's fine. It's a game. Like, it doesn't need to be,
Fancy,
beholden
yeah.
to all the silly rules that would make it not fun. But at the same time, it's just strange. It's just, the story doesn't make sense to me. There's very little sympathy I have with the antagonist. He just seems to be bad. He's
Bad
like,
for the
cool.
sake of being
Yeah,
bad, yeah.
I'm a bad guy, and these are the bad guys that are going to come and hunt you down, and you will chew through thousands of dark wizards and dark goblins. And
Oh my goodness.
like, you do not get, you are a murderer by the end of this fucking thing. Like, yeah.
It's great.
Where was I? Classes, right. So yeah, you kind of have to do the whole school thing. So that ties into the main quest structure, because certain story quests have a level requirement, but also a spell requirement. So sometimes they require a particular spell that you might not have at the time because it involves some puzzle solving or whatever. So you have to attend classes. Now, at the beginning, the classes are fairly straightforward. You go to a class, you get a cool little cutscene with the professors. Some of them are really eclectic. They're really quite interesting. And you do some sort of mini game that introduces you to the power of the classes. So, for instance, there was one charms class where I was taught Accio, which is like bringing an object towards you.
Accurate.
And I had to play like a little mini game where I had to pull these like heavy balls towards me, but also cut the spell off in time so that they landed in like a scored area. So it kind of taught me of like how momentum works and, how the limitations of the spell, blah, blah, blah. The other ones, there are some that are more involved, like there's defense against the dark arts classes where you do dueling to learn some spells. They're quite fun. There's this weird mini game where you learn a spell where you've got to like use your thumbstick to move
Chase
like a
the lights,
cursor across a like pattern on the screen, which I think is really dumb. It reminds me of the very first Harry Potter game based on the film. That had the exact same thing.
That's
like,
when Lenska did it. I said the exact same thing. It's like, wow, this is straight from the first film's game.
It literally, I recall it immediately. I was like, why are they doing this thing from like, this is a mechanic from 20 years ago. It's not that interesting or fun. Anyway. The classes afterwards get weird. Or at least the ones that I've been doing so far are strange. So a professor will just give you a quest via mail, be like, I want to teach you this spell, but to do it, you need to complete 2 or 3 little tasks and then come and see me. And some of those are so like they don't relate to the sort of spell you're learning. Like defeat X number of enemies, block X number of enemies, do this, find X number of this item, and it's just like, why do I need to do these things? They frame it as homework. It's not homework. It's busy work. It's
hilarious.
It's literally just a little gate so that you have to do something before you can progress. And a lot of the times you need these spells to progress anyway. So you're forced to do these things, which is quite annoying.
Yeah.
And then you just go to the professor and they're like, cool, here's the spell. And then you go along your merry way. And you're like, okay.
Nice.
I also have a big problem with how the spells are used in your like inventory. So you have certain spells that are like, they're just like basic spells. So your attack is one of them. Protego, which is like your shield, is one of them. You just tap triangle to bring it up. Stupefy, the other one, also that. But then most other spells you have to sort of equip into like a toolbar, and you can only store 4 at a time. And so you have to keep opening up the little menu and swapping them in and out, when you need. Which is I find very annoying, because I thought, I'm not going to change them so often. I'm changing them a lot. Because I kind of need them. I've seen now that you can use skill points, which come later, to unlock more not slots, but more like
loadouts or
you like loadouts. So I can have a secondary loadout that I can then
just
swap between two loadouts. The problem is I have to go into the exact same menu to swap into that loadout. There's no button that just flicks between them. No, I have to hold R2, brings up a whole menu, have to press a button, it swaps it, let go of R2. So you can't actually do that. You can when you're busy fighting, but it's very cumbersome.
Yeah. No, like I was saying to Lenska, it takes you out of the experience. It's like
completely.
you're fighting, oh, now I've got to swap spells.
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot of strange limitations on the sort of things you can do that seem very artificial. Like you have a very limited number of slots for gear you can carry around.
Yes.
So everything is collected into one. So your coat, shirt, hat, scarf, each item takes up one slot in your inventory and you only have 20 at the beginning. So there were many times where I was getting to equipment and it's like, you can't pick that up, you can't pick that up, can't pick that up. And then I figured out that you can spend, again, skill points no, you don't spend skill points, you complete challenges. They're called Merlin's challenges to increase your slot count. I'm like, this feels weird. Just give me the slots I require. Don't make it a thing that I have to now go do side content just to get slots. Especially when it feels so limiting, you know what I mean? Yeah.
If your inventory is full, what, can you sell stuff or can you drop stuff? How does
you can only destroy it. You can sell it if you find a merchant, but if you're in the middle of fucking nowhere, then...
But if nobody's made a parody video of this, because it's a thing in many RPGs, I want to see a video where the person's like, I don't have space, guess I'm going to have to destroy this thing.
Fucking incendio this coat into the nether.
That's great.
I don't like it. I like we were saying before we started recording, this game has so many elements that feel from a different type of game. The inventory system or the gear system, it is straight out of Destiny. You have all sorts of items that increase your stats here and there.
Your light level. Your wizard level.
Your wizard level, yeah. I do like that there's a transmog system so I can make items look like different pieces of gear while retaining their stats. I appreciate that. More games should have that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But then there's a talent system, which is your passive abilities that you unlock with skill points. Then you've got a whole collection system. So everything you do in the world, from exploration to side puzzles to combat, you have little micro objectives, and each of those reward you with something. And it feels almost like a battle pass in a sense. You killed X number of enemies, here's a coat. Oh, you did X number of this, here's a pair of glasses. That's also the only way to increase your experience is by doing quests and doing those side challenges. So you best believe you have to do those.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, there's all the other things that you have to do. You've got a potions class where you can brew potions. Those take time to finish, which makes zero sense to me.
Happened yesterday as well, where I think Lenska did a first class and I watched the potion being made. It's 30 seconds left. And I was like,
why is that in this game?
Do you have to
why
wait
do I have to wait
to
for that?
Yeah.
It's the same with the growing plants. Some of them take an hour. I'm just what?
I can kind of get that contextually, you're growing a plant, go off, do some activities, come back, because it's not an unusual thing. But the potions thing, I was like, that's weird.
These are resources. You want to craft it so that I have a resource so I can continue on my adventure. I've been playing The Witcher a lot this year, and you do a lot of potion brewing and alchemy there. That shit's instant.
Yeah.
You brew a potion, it is in your inventory because hey, no one wants to sit waiting for a minute so they can get a health potion. And that is, The Witcher is far more of an involved role-playing game as opposed to Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy, which is we're going to call it RPG because we have numbers and enemies scale with numbers, but there's no real role-playing. You are a kid. You can't really make good or bad choices. Your conversation, things are limited. So you're not really playing as a good or bad character, at least from what I've seen yet.
Yeah.
But we're going to make everything around it, make it feel I don't know. Again, it feels like this was an MMO once upon a time. There's all these things that are I would see this in a World of Warcraft where crafting takes time.
Yeah.
All sorts of resource gathering takes a lot of time because it's trying to extend that time and trying to make you be more involved in the world and have more of a routine when you come back to the game. So, listen, there's nothing bad about this game that I've found yet. But there's nothing that's kind of like wowed me outside of, Hogwarts is really fucking cool to explore.
Yeah.
Like, the combat is fine. It is far more involved than I thought it was, but I've quickly realized that the same combos just work all the time. Like, I just do the same thing over and over again, and it kind of just works as long as I'm watching the little flashing symbol above my head to like counter or block something. Yeah. As long as you do that, combat is like so straightforward.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's okay. I think if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're going to get a lot more out of it, which makes sense. It's a Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
You might easily look over a lot of the shortcomings, but as a open world RPG, I think this is as run of the mill it gets in today's like day and age.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I haven't really put in enough time to, personally to say it feels like this or that, but I do think they definitely nailed, you're a student at Hogwarts, which I think is what many people wanted. Like that's been
fair enough.
And in fact, it's insane to think that it's taken this long to get an open world Harry Potter game like this. You know what I mean? We've had the film games, we've had Lego Harry Potter, but nothing that's let you really do this.
I kind of wish they took a bit of inspiration from, okay, people might disagree here, but like a Persona, because like Persona really nails the
student life.
Exactly. The time balancing of a student life. Like you have a classroom portion of the day, and you have your after school portion of the day. And hey, they'll remind you like in 2 months you've got exams. So now you've got this other activity you've got to do. Like, do you spend it doing an activity that will, upgrade your stats in the game, or do you go home and study because otherwise you're going to fail in those exams? Like, so it really captures the student life and contextualizes it within the game and the RPG mechanics as well, because there's a lot of risk and reward for either action. Like, Hogwarts Legacy, maybe this was never their intention, because I hate saying, it should be this. Like, it could be they didn't want to do that in the first place. But like, if they are trying to replicate the sort of student life, the classes don't do that right now, because you can kind of just do them whenever. There's no pressure to do them at a certain time, or, there's no real pressure as to like, I have to balance my activities outside of school along with the ones inside of school. It seems I can come and go as I please at night, during the day. I can start a class at night and it magically is day again. Like, so it just feels strange. I would have liked a bit more of that, because I think then I would have been more engaged with the, like the movies do that. Like, Harry Potter's not able to just fucking do whatever the fuck he wants. He has to like confine himself to, this is school, this is whatever. So I don't know. That would have been cool. I don't know if that was a consideration, but that might have been nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I keep calling it that. It's Hogwarts Legacy. I feel like
Hogwarts Legacy.
I feel like this is one of those things where, you get certain brands which have the name has replaced the actual name of the product. Like instead of a glass dish, a lot of people say a Pyrex dish.
Yeah.
This is that. It's like it's Harry Potter. It's like, oh no, it's Hogwarts Legacy.
No, it's Hogwarts. I will say, irrespective of, at least from my side, playing the game, J.K. Rowling is shit. I completely denounce her views. And I think you are fully within your rights to not play this game if you feel the same. Yep. And I think if you are playing this game, I know you want to divorce yourself from the fact that she wasn't involved in this game, but the fact of the matter is, and she has said as much online, is that she views the continued success of the Harry Potter franchise and its IP as a sign that people agree with her views. So you have to take that into consideration when you spend money on things associated with this universe.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, there you go.